The second thing we want to notice is that these are written to Christians. He's talking to people who have faith. So they are written to Christians. So I want to do a little illustration this morning over here on the whiteboard that I come up with to kind of help explain this, first part of this. And this actually deals with the whole series. So we're going to describe this as two roads. You have one road over here. You have to forgive my drawing. You'll understand in a minute. You have one road over here. This is the wide road. Okay? And this road leads to destruction. Hopefully that's spelled right. If it's not, my wife, the teacher, will tell me. And then you have this little narrow road over here. Okay? And this road leads to life. And at some point in time, if you're a Christian, you decided to take an exit ramp and you didn't want to be on this road anymore, and you went over here and got on this one. So now you're on the road to life. Now what Peter says in this is you're going to come across some things on this road that you can pick up that are going to make your journey easier. So let's say we're walking down this road of life and we come upon a pair of shoes. That's a pair of shoes right there. Don't look like it, but trust me, it's shoes. So you got a pair of shoes, and maybe you're walking on the grass or walking on the sand, like a sandy beach or something like that, and you see those shoes, and you're like, what do I need a pair of shoes for? I mean, the ground under my feet feels good. I'm on the road to life. What do I need a pair of shoes for? But what you don't know is down the road here a little ways, there's stony ground. And it's going to hurt if you walk on it barefooted. So what Peter's saying is, pick up this pair of shoes, because down the road you're going to have some stony ground. What if you walk on down the road a little bit and you see an umbrella sitting here on the side of the road, but it's a nice sunny day, you know, there's not a cloud in the sky, and you're thinking to yourself, what do I need an umbrella for? Not raining. But what Peter knows that we don't know is down the road here a little bit, it's going to be raining. And say you walk on down the road a little bit farther and you have a coat. It's not cold. But Peter realizes that down the road here a little ways the wind's going to be blowing and you're going to be cold. See, that's what these things are. The faith, the virtue, the steadfastness. These are things that you can pick up as you're walking along these roads. This road that leads to life. Because Peter understands that the life is not going to always be like it is right now. And if you will pick up these things, then they'll help your journey along the way. But what happens to us a lot of times, and a lot of things that we don't understand, is these things are available to this crowd over here too. They can pick these things up. I mean, unsafe people can have virtue, right? They can. Unsafe people can have knowledge. They can have that. Unsafe people can have brotherly affection. I know people who don't claim Jesus Christ as their Savior that are very loving, affectionate people to other people. And the rain falls what? It falls on the just and the unjust. The stony ground will be over here too, just like it is. The wind will blow over here on this road to destruction too. So a lot of times we don't pick up these things. These guys over here, they might pick up a pair of shoes and an umbrella and a coat. And they're over here in the rain underneath an umbrella, and we're standing over here in the rain without an umbrella, and we're looking at them and saying, what good does it do for me to be a Christian? These guys are lost and they got an umbrella. These guys are lost and they got a coat. These guys are walking on stony ground and they've got a pair of shoes. What good does it do me to be a Christian? Well, they're still on the road that leads to destruction and you're still on the road to life, but you're having a miserable journey because you didn't pick up the few things along the way that Peter said would help you on your journey. So that's the point of this series, and the reason I think it's such a great series that Danny came up with is Peter is saying if you will pick these things up, it will make your journey much more enjoyable. You're still going to end up in heaven. What kind of time you have on the way is up to you. So we get to our part of our sermon today on brotherly affection. That's where we're at. We're in the sixth thing, brotherly affection. So what's this all about? Brotherly affection, from my point of view, is the idea that we need each other. Ecclesiastes 4:11 says, again, this is some of my favorite verses, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. Now what he's saying there, if one prevail against him, if you're walking along a path alone and a robber or someone comes against you, he can overpower you and take your money. But if you're walking with a friend, that robber's not going to easily overpower you. If you're walking with two friends, that robber's not even going to try. That's what he's saying right there. If one prevail against him, two can withstand. We, the church as a whole, not Calvary Chapel, have become a church with kind of a survival of the fittest mentality, kind of a lone wolf mentality. And because of that, I think that has a lot to do with why the church, and I'm talking about the church as a whole right now, is really weak, separated, divided in a lot of ways. We went to Dollywood a couple of weeks ago. Had a good time on vacation, but there's a church at Dollywood. Jessica, you got that picture ready? Go ahead and put it up. There's a little church at Dollywood. I don't know if you've ever been there or not. Was it the Robert Morris Chapel, I think it is, that they set up there inside Dollywood, a little church. And it's common for churches that we had, in the United States maybe 100 years ago or something. Go ahead and go to the next picture, Jessica. There's a picture of the inside of it here. Kind of what the church looked like 100 years ago. Now, there's something interesting about this church. The Industrial Revolution did two really bad things, I think, for the church. The first thing it did, the Industrial Revolution did, it took the man out of the home. Then about 50 years later, it took the woman out of the home. It produced the advent of the automobile. And that might sound like a good thing, but for the church, what would be the bad thing about the automobile? It used to be, 100 years ago, that you would go to church as far as your feet or the horse would take you. Or 120 years ago, something like that. As far as your feet or the horse would take you is where you went to church. So I want you to think back a minute. How many churches did you drive by on the way here this morning? Now, I'm glad you're here. Don't get me wrong. But if you're like me, you probably drove by 4 or 5 churches on the way here. But over 100 years ago, you had a church in a community, and what that did was you had to go to church with the people that you lived and worked and farmed and associated with. And I want to tell you something. A lot of those people, they didn't really like each other. They didn't get along very good. They're like, there's some, I may drive some of you folks crazy. I don't know. There might be 1 or 2 of you that drive me crazy. I'm not going to say. But, there are times when we get on each other's nerves. But if you're going to church as far as your feet or the horse will take you, you have to sit down with the Bible and you have to solve those problems. We don't have to do that anymore. We can get in the car, drive down the street, go try another one. If we've had enough of this one, 4 or 5 of us can get together, pack up, go down the street and start another one. It's made our churches broken. We don't fellowship with each other. We're separated, and we wonder why the world is just, beating us half to death. And it's no wonder, because we don't have any power. But there is power in brotherly affection. I'm going to read some verses in Matthew 18, just 3 verses right quick, and then I'm going to go back and read them again a little bit later, and I'm going to add some to them. But Matthew 18:18 says, "Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say to you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them." That's pretty powerful, isn't it? 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. What you bind on earth will be bound on earth and in heaven. That's pretty powerful. There's powerful thing in that brotherly affection.